On the southern coast of Italy lies a small seaside village called Amara, a place where the horizon melts into the endless blue. In that village lived a man named Luca, once a seasoned captain, who had spent half his life battling storms and chasing horizons across the open sea. But now, gray-haired and weary, Luca had left his ship behind. He told himself, "I've had enough of storms. I just want peace." And so, he built a little cottage near the shore, a place to rest his soul, leaving the storm behind. For a while it seemed like a dream. He woke to the rhythm of the waves, drank coffee as sunlight danced on the water, and watched sunsets bleed into gold. He thought peace meant silence, a world without motion, without struggle. But soon, a strange emptiness began to creep in. He realized that though he had left the ocean behind, the storms inside him had followed. Sitting alone by the shore, he whispered to himself, "I left the sea, but why can't I find calm?" A fisherman friend who often passed by smiled and said, "Because, my friend, you're still running away, not listening." A boy in the sea. One evening Luca met a little boy sitting by the water, tossing pebbles into the waves. The sea was calm, the world quiet. He asked, "What are you doing here, alone?" The boy looked up and said, "I'm counting the waves." Luca laughed. "There are too many to count." The boy replied softly, "I don't need to count them all. I just want to remember that every wave, no matter how far it goes, always returns to the sea." Luca froze. The boy's simple words echoed deep within him. Peace isn't the absence of waves, he thought. It's knowing that, in the end, every wave comes home, listening to the waves within. From that day on, Luca stopped running from his memories. Each morning he walked to the shore, not to escape, but to listen. He began to hear the ocean differently, not as noise, but as a mirror of his own heart. He wrote in his old sailor's journal, not about storms or voyages, but about gratitude, about how each rough tide had taught him something new. And as he wrote, he realized that peace wasn't a destination. It was a conversation between his soul and the sea. The night of the storm. One night, dark clouds gathered. A violent storm rolled over the village. News spread that a fishing boat had been caught in the waves. Without hesitation, Luca ran toward the docks. Despite his age, he climbed into a small rescue boat and set out into the raging sea with a few young men. Rain lashed against their faces, waves towered above them, but Luca's voice was steady. His years on the sea had taught him not to fear the storm, but to move with it. After hours of fighting the current, they finally reached the stranded crew and brought them back safely. As the storm eased, Luca sat drenched, exhausted, but smiling. For the first time in years he felt truly peaceful, not because the sea was calm, but because he was. The morning after. The next morning, sunlight returned. Villagers gathered around, thanking Luca. A young sailor asked, "Weren't you afraid last night?" Luca chuckled. "Long ago, I thought peace existed only when the sea was still. But now I know peace is when your heart stays still, even as the sea rages." A journey of the soul. In the following months, Luca opened a small school by the bay to teach children about the ocean, not just how to navigate storms, but how to face the storms within themselves. On the wooden wall of the classroom he carved a sentence that would become his life's truth. Peaceful life is not a state, it is a journey of the soul. When one of his students asked, "Teacher, when will I truly find peace?" Luca smiled and said, "When you realize peace isn't about stopping the wind, it's about learning to let it pass through you, without shaking your heart." The final reflection. Peace is not something you reach, it's something you live, moment by moment. The calm sea teaches us nothing. It's the storm that reveals who we are. The journey toward peace is not about escape, but about embracing life as it is, winds, waves, and all. And so, Luca spent the rest of his days by the sea, watching the waves rise and fall, knowing that the ocean and his heart were one, forever in motion, yet forever at peace. A peaceful life is not a state, it is a journey of the soul.